Okay, so we've got our barrel UV on our desktop. I'm just going to drag that into Photoshop. So this is a template for our texture, and each of these areas dictates what is going to go on the certain areas on your barrel as well. I'll kind of give you an idea of how that works by coloring in each of these areas in a different color. Okay, so I'm going to just draw a marquee in the middle here, create a new layer, and I'll color that, say, orange. Bring a marquee over here, new layer, I'll color that blue. Let's see, I'll draw a marquee for the middle one. So this is my small lip, and I'll color that red. It's on the same layer. Yeah. I'm going to color this one, what do you think? Green? Right. Yeah, but I have to use the video recording. Okay, so this is my awful, terrible texture, but I'm just going to use this as a reference guide so I know what parts relate to what parts of my model. So what parts of my UV relate to what parts on my 3D model. I'm just going to save this as a JPEG, so I'm just going to save as, and let's see, JPEG. I'll call it barrel underscore text for texture and save that. So back in Maya now I've got to reattach that. So under my model I'm going to right click it, I'm going to assign a favorite material, and I'm just going to give it a Lambert. And here's the attributes for my Lambert, okay, and it's got a color attribute here, and this is where I'm going to plug in my color texture. So I'm just going to click on this checkered box, and I'm going to select from a file. If you're using a PSD file, it's a good thing to remember to use PSD file here, okay, otherwise your texture won't work. So we're using a JPEG, we can use a file. Just come down to this folder icon, click on it, and just locate my barrel texture. Open it up. Right, you might notice anything happen, but you have to click on the checkered ball. That's your textured view. Now we can see our textures, or our barrels, change to the colors that we made in Photoshop. And if I click on here and click on my texture editor, you can see my textures already in there. So can you see how like that corresponds to what you're texturing in Photoshop, and why it's a good idea to have a layout so you know exactly where to place your textures, so you can have a unique part of the texture on each part of your model. Anybody any questions on that? Did I go too fast? No? Alright, I'll stop.